Well, Susan, you really knocked it out of the park this morning. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the study of life and the nature of the laws of thought, the conception that we live in a spiritual universe, that God is in us, around us, and for us, and there is nothing against us. The science of mind is a correlation of the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelation of religion applied to human need and the aspiration of humankind. Today, I want to talk about the dynamic expressions of love and forgiveness, because there are need to be expressed through us, in us. The Global Heart Statement that our home office has developed over the years has a statement like this: words of love can never be said too much in this time of our planet. And it says, we see a world in which forgiveness, whether for error, injustice, or debt, is the norm. Forgiveness is the norm. End of quote. Can you imagine that? That we could live a life where it's normal to forgive. Most people think forgiveness is something they have to work up to. They have to sometimes go through a lot of personal gyration to try and get the words out. I forgive you is forgiven. Loving kindness and forgiveness are dynamic expressions of love. So if you want to really express love, embrace those two ideas. Forgiveness is not an event. It's a paradigm shift on the mental plane, on the mental level of our being, in the mind of the one doing the forgiveness. It's a paradigm shift. Spirit holds nothing against anyone. God is not a judge. God never has a need to forgive. Now that's new. God cannot be offended. That would be too much like a human being. I wouldn't want that kind of a God that can be offended. But I was raised to believe that I offend God. I was raised to believe in another total different religion that taught me that God is mad at me sometimes. Those qualities don't exist in the divine. God is unconditional love. Do you know what the meaning of the word unconditional is? When you apply that to love, you're getting close to understand what God really is and who God really is. Spirit holds nothing against us. God is not a judge. God never has a need to forgive because God is not offended. That's something we need to really get. The only person we offend is our own selves. Our own pure essence is violated when we do not forgive, when we hold grudges, when we live in a way of anger and judgment. We violate the nature of our essence. What if you and I can practice every day forgiveness for 30 days? I believe a critical mass we will reach a critical mass if every one of us practice devotedly forgiveness for 30 consecutive days. The masses will change from fear to love. We could change the world in 30 days. Changing the energy, the feeling, the forgiveness, the open hearts. That's what will make a new world. Not more arms, not more jail, not more condemnation. Love will change the world. In fact, let's take out the word what if we judged. What if we adopted this idea of love as the energy that will drive us. We could begin now. We don't have to say what if, and maybe we will, and maybe we won't. Dr. Holmes says we should do well to remember this lesson. How often we condemn when we should forgive. How often we censure when we might praise. What untold grief of hearts might be revealed, relieved by words of cheer and forgiveness. Can you imagine the impact you could have, each of us, doing that together? What an impact we could make. It is a way for us to be able to transform the world by acting and modeling the principles that we hold to be true, and remembering that Spirit holds nothing towards against us or against anybody. And God is unconditional love with a capital L and a capital U for unconditional. We should emulate the divine, Dr. Holmes says. We should emulate the divine lesson and forgive all. There's your challenge. Forgive all, that our hearts may be free from the burden of our own condemnation. That's on page 438 and 439. You see, when we hold anger and we don't forgive, it's like a little rot that is taking place within your heart. It would be good for us to take a look inside and to become self-aware. It really would be. How well are we doing with cleansing our memories, our inner mental conversation about past hurts and past life and past and behavior by other people, and we don't forgive? In the meantime, internally, there's something rotting inside. That's why happiness cannot be genuinely felt. Cleansing our own mental house depends on a sincere desire to focus on our spiritual nature. We need to take time to love ourselves. Number one, you know, we sang that song, I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. That is a truth. Do we believe it? We better believe it. Because if we go out and try to change our nature, the nature of our essence, we find we have problems. But when we trust that God made us perfectly out of itself, in its image and likeness, what's to rearrange about that? What needs to rearrange is our thinking about life, our thinking about it, our thinking about our experience in the world today. How well are we doing with cleansing our memories, our inner mental conversation? That's important. Cleansing our own mental house depends on a sincere desire to focus on our original spiritual nature. We need to take time to love ourselves. You ever said, I'm going to spend a day loving myself? I'm going to spend a day when all I think about is the love that created me and the love that I am and the love that I'm made with and of and for. Wow. How well are we doing with cleansing our memories, our inner mental conversation? Cleansing our mental house depends on a sincere desire to focus on our spiritual nature. We need to take time to love ourselves. I don't kid you folks. We need to do that. I must take a look at what I created. I must notice my feelings and my judgments, but I must love myself anyway. You can own your mistakes without condemning yourself. You can own a misjudgment without making yourself worthless. and walking around with a self-criticism about your behavior. Change your thinking, change your life. On page 438, Holmes says, we should emulate this divine lesson and forgive all, that our hearts may be free from the burden of our own condemnation. It's a powerful statement. I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I will always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful. I'm capable of being the best me I can. I love myself just the way I am. Can you say that and really mean it? It's a nice song. I know the guys who wrote it. I met them when it first came out. In fact, they let me sing with them when there was a quartet, and I pretended I knew what I was singing. But that was good. So, am I willing to see the perfection in all situations? That's a big challenge because we judge. We don't see the perfection in all situations. Say to yourself, say to that person inside who feels hurt and injustices done onto him, say to yourself, I am willing to make the change now. Take deliberate, conscious action, and with sincerity say this, I choose to cleanse my inner being of any sense of hurt from the past. I forgive everyone involved and or even those who may be directly or indirectly involved with the reason I feel hurt and or blame people. You do that, your life will shift. The world will shift. We must be willing to learn to love ourselves. That's why I'm so glad that Susan decided to play that song. I love myself the way I am. The most self-empowering and powerful action we can take is the act of self-forgiveness. And sincere self-care, self-love lets us together take a look at how we are moving forward with love in this time of life on earth. That's why that affirmation that we said earlier, it said, today I know that deep within my own being, there is the seed of perfection, which is made and given to me by the unconditional love of God. This love, though invisible, is also made completely enfolding in its nature. In other words, I'm wrapped around in love. You're wrapped around in love. Why don't you feel it? It's because of the within. What am I doing with my inner thoughts? Who am I blaming for unhappiness? What am I remembering that there was a bad experience and I nurture that until it's unforgettable? No. The love, though invisible, is also made completely enfolding in its nature. In this eternal truth, I am surrounded and embraced and held safely in the loving arms of divine wisdom and wholeness. Today, I know that the seed of perfection, which is nurtured with divine love, surrounds and keeps me in the heart of God. Do you believe it? I am made of love. Do you believe it? When you say that, take it with you, take it home with you, write it down, memorize it, read it back to yourself and ask yourself, do I really believe this about me? And if you don't, do whatever you can to change your mind and start believing it, because you are made by love, in love, with love, for love, to love. And I love you. And God bless you. Namaste. Let's all center ourselves in a moment of silence, inwardly, And in that silence, let us recognize that God, the great love, the unconditional lover, God, the life, that the first life, the initial of all life, the life of all life, the being of all beings, the presence of all. God is present here right now. And the words we speak are words that give life. They become flesh and we experience them. So knowing that God is present leads to an experience of the presence of God. And that means that I am made in the image and likeness of God. And therefore, today I can predict the day. Today is a day that I choose to live in peace. I will have peace of mind. I declare this for everyone. Today you have peace of mind. Today you have right thinking. That from this moment on, only those thoughts that harmonize with the intention of good in my life, I entertain. I entertain only those thoughts that enhance my life and the way my life is expressing itself. I give thanks for the power of this spoken word, knowing that my words cannot return to me void. They must and will accomplish whereunto I have spoken them. I have spoken them with conviction. I give thanks that they are on their way to make the manifestation.